So this is a super fun conversation that we're going to have today. I'm so excited for this. Go ahead, Emily.
I can't wait. Especially after the conversation we had last week about coaching. This has taken my own personal coaching that I do with other people and also the coaching that I receive, from my coach. Like, it's up leveled it to a whole nother level. It's also a conversation. Nicole and I just were chatting about this, what we want to cover, because there's so much to cover. But it's like the thing that I wish I would have known when I was 13 years old, thing that I wish I would have known as a young woman that just became a mom, or as someone who's been married. It's something that I wish I would have learned how to tap into. So if you're listening to this today and you have daughters or you have sons, it really doesn't matter. Like, you have children, right? Like,
if you're raising people,
if you're raising people, if you're married, if you're a woman, if you're a man, whatever you are, like, this conversation is gold. When Nicole and I first started learning about this a while back, it changed both of our lives, like that dramatically when we realized, right?
Yeah, it was mind-blowing.
Everything changed. For those of you who are on YouTube, you're going to notice I look like a warm fairy. I have way too much ring light on and I don't even care right now. Like, I don't care. I'm ready for this.
I think you look amazing.
Okay.
Stop. Don't give like the disclaimers.
No.
I look amazing. This is literally YouTube. For this conversation. You realize this, right? Like, we're talking about the feminine and how you just like love you. And you don't get.
I'm laughing because I feel like today I'm just in a different energy. Last week I was like cozy and warm and like in white, and this week I'm firing off I'm like, I haven't even had caffeine. Like, this is a total separate side note, and this is just a trail we're just going to go down, I guess. I've been doing the fasting thing for about 5 days because Thanksgiving just did a doozy on like my mental state. Like for let's see, 18 hours, So like I eat from like 12 to 6. Okay. But here's the thing that I'm noticing, because I'm on like day 5 and I work out in the morning, my same routine and everything, is that my brain just feels like clear. I feel like the carbs were like doing me in, man. So today I'm just going to apologize before we even start. If I'm just like, just tell me, Nicole, simmer down. Just be like, Anna, simmer down.
Really? You're due. I mean, I'm just saying, how many times have I just been all,
so what you talking about? Seriously. Especially this topic. Okay. So I'm so ready. Today we're going to get into masculine and feminine energy.
So I have to ask you, I know what this is now, but I remember the first time that I heard this masculine and feminine. What are you talking about? So I want you to explain the difference between masculine and feminine and what you mean.
Okay. So I'm going to do from my perspective and then you do from yours, especially because we just have 2 different ways of seeing life. Masculine in my life meant male. Males have masculine energy. That's it. How I thought. Okay. Feminine meant females have feminine energy, and that was weak and pathetic. And I wanted to be strong and powerful and achieve and have all these wonderful things and become all this kind of a person. Right. And so that was my perception of it. And then I realized it has absolutely nothing to do with female and male. It has to do with like our states of being. And when I started uncovering that we as humans hold both of these energies, like, my life just blew up. And then I cried. I cried because I realized my entire life, I couldn't put words to it when I was younger. I couldn't put words to it even just like maybe a year and a half ago. My life was like a masculine freaking ball of energy covered in red lipstick, curled hair, fake nails, makeup, and extensions and cute outfits. Because on the outside, I looked very feminine and I looked like this glamorous little bean. But on the inside, I was a roaring freaking male. And I wondered why my relationship wasn't working, because I was like the dominant pain in the ass, right? And I still can go back to that. I still go back to that spot, but I catch myself, right? It's like something I did for 39 years. Like, it's not going to just all of a sudden go away. I have to like be very aware of it. So for me, learning that the feminine energy that I hold in my body is 10 times more powerful than the masculine energy has been freaking groundbreaking the last year. Everything I question, everything I've changed. I mean, everything is just up leveled to another level. Even today, I'm creating the second module for this masterclass I'm doing on gratitude. And I'm like very ready to like list and I need to do this and I need to upload this. And I'm like, whoa, why don't you just get in the correct energy, Anna? Like, why don't you just speak from that energy rather than trying to produce and create? So for me, this evolution of how do I embrace that part of me that's been whispering, like to come out, but I've been too scared. And so that's kind of how in my life it's working. And that's how I've defined it in my own life. I definitely have some very specifics to talk about today when it comes to masculine energy and feminine energy, but that's just kind of how it's playing out in my own life right now. What about you?
So I didn't know anything. Like I was very similar in that I thought feminine is all girly and weak and ridiculous and prissy. And I thought that masculine was male, like just men. Men are masculine. Girls are supposed to be feminine, but I felt like I struggled with that. Like I didn't feel like a pretty girl. I didn't feel like, I don't know, I feel like I was a little bit more of a tomboy, aside from like the fact that I danced. You know what I mean? Like I was, I was like the only thing that I did that was like that I felt like was girly. I didn't have a ton of dresses. Like I always felt like I loved other women's style, but I felt like if I did it, I would look like I was trying too hard. You know what I mean? Like it just didn't look like it fit me. So it was like hoodies and Chuck Taylors, and I still rock those like, pretty much all winter. This is new, trying to like put on makeup and things, So for me, that's what I thought. And then I listened to this masterclass and I'm like, she's talking about it. And I'm like, wait, what? So, oops, I've been completely living in my masculine in this go-getter, gotta have the grit, gotta hustle. Like I'm going to grind, like everything, the badass, like I'm going to do and watch me shine. And I'm going to just use this as my motivation. And I was just so in my masculine energy. And I had what friends called single womanitis, where, you're a single woman for so long. So you then don't know how to allow a man to come into your life and actually be masculine because you want to be more masculine. Because I've been doing this. You don't need to tell me how to do this. So, it was a little rough there. It's just very similar in that I struggled in my relationship, and I still struggle because it's really still hard for me to let go of control and to be in my feminine. And I actually told my husband the other day, he said something and he was joking. And I said, you know what? That's why I can't be in my feminine with you, because you're not a safe place for me to be in my feminine, because you want to talk shit all the time. You're constantly messing with me. And he's like loving the conversation. He's like, I'm going to mess with you till the day I die. Like I'm going to talk shit until the day that I die. And I'm like, I know. So, I'm like, but I still need to be able to have a conversation with you in which I am able to say that I feel some kind of way and have these emotions that you would deem as weak if it came from a man. I'm not a man, I'm your wife. And it's okay for me to have these emotions, and you should do what, like, yourself a good bit of service to not dismiss it. Mm-hmm. And he was like, oh shit. Okay. All right. Sorry, you're weak and that your ankle still hurts because you rolled it 7 weeks ago. Like, whatever, man. So yeah, it's something that I struggle with. But getting a clear picture of what it was really helpful. And then in learning about being in your feminine energy and how to do that has been something that I still struggle with, but it's something that I really loved learning about and diving into and seeing really all of the ways that I was so out of alignment with it. So let's talk first about how we show up that we're in alignment. Like, what does that mean to be in your feminine, Anna?
Okay, so I want to go back to what you talking about, the masculine energy, like Nicole and I had this conversation earlier that we want to invite you guys that as we go through talking about what masculine is, what feminine is, that instead of seeing it how maybe we saw it, of like masculine being male and feminine being female, see it as masculine energy and feminine energy. And we're comprised of both. You can't see my hands if you're on YouTube. I'm like doing this thing where we're one, we're like ball, we're together. We're like, Nicole like compared it to a dance, right?
Yeah. It's like you're doing a dance together. And whenever you're, one takes the lead typically. And the best way to see a dance is when it's so in sync that they're both together, like as one.
Yes.
And just to preface this is not a new concept. This is not an Americanized concept. There are ancient histories, starting with China, through India, through pretty much everywhere that is Egypt. They all had these feminine, like, archetypes, and this feminine energy. I mean, you see it with yin and yang. That's what that is. It's a balance. So I just want to kind of give some awareness to that and not let you guys think that this is like a new concept that we're coming up with.
It's totally not. And I know with my own journey of my own faith, like I read the Bible pretty often, almost daily. And I've noticed it a lot in the Bible too, this like masculine, feminine kind of like energy thing. And it's increased my like awareness and understanding of like scripture and just of like life, just understanding this concept. So first of all, okay, understanding masculine energy. So when you think of masculine energy, Nicole, like what do you think of? I think of like the
Strong.
drive, the grit, the hustle,
Yeah, it's all of that. It's strength. It's like this hard outer shell. Like I'm not weak. I don't have emotions. What do you mean? Like I'm just strong. I don't know, like strong, grit, hustle,
I
drive.
think of like everything
Physical strength.
associated with like action, right? Like
Yes.
taking action. Like every time we think in our mind, action, 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 like that's like definitely a masculine energy.
It's the doer energy. It's the
Yes.
I'm going to do something action versus the I'm going to look for the joy. Like I'm going to do what I need to do to find the joy. That's a different that's a different direction than one is feminine, one is masculine. So the masculine is the doer energy.
All right. So here's a list, you guys, of some specific things. So making things happen, being productive, efficient, like achieving goals, having purpose, having power, having like using your sexual energy to like accomplish something or to like invigorate you, actively manifesting from like a place of action. And why I can spout those off so quickly and that way is because I've lived 39 years of my life that way. So I'm like, yeah, of course I know what this is. But when our masculine's in overdrive, I want to go over this really briefly too, because we're going to spend a good majority of today talking about our feminine energy because it's the least talked about one. And it's the one that is going to change the world is this one. When you're in a masculine overdrive, it means like you operate from a culture of like you're hyper competition, like you're all about the competition. I'm gonna win, like I'm better than you. You avoid your emotions. You will do anything to win at any cost. Like you don't care. You're like, if it takes me 16, I'm just speaking from experience, but if it takes me 16 hours, I'm gonna finish that damn project. Like it's like that inner hustle inside. And it's almost like this power struggle also. Like you see it a lot in business because business is set up traditionally this way. Is that like I will win, like I will get the most money, I will have this, like it's like this thing at like the top of the organization, I will be the CEO, like I will command like energy and power, right? And it's it's this mindset of like it's me versus them. There's always like this inner conflict of like me versus them. So that's how like that's how masculine energy like comes over when it's in overdrive. Feminine energy is something totally different. And so we're going to talk about feminine energy today. Like I'll go over some of the characteristics of feminine energy. And then Nicole's going to talk about when it's out of alignment because she's got something really good. Or when you said it earlier, when your feminine is like wounded, right? Like what that feels like. So just you guys sit back and listen right now. You don't need to take notes. You just need to listen. And then we'll go from there. So here we go. So if you're in the feminine energy and like, this is what feminine energy looks like, it's all about community. So it's about connection. It's about being with other people. It's about co-creating. Think of like Nicole and I are in a feminine relationship here because we're like co-creating this podcast, right? And we have this feeling of like, when we come together, we're able to create more together than we are separately, which feels really good, right?
Yeah.
And then another example that I thought of too is like when you shine, I shine. When you do really well, I do really well, right? Like, and I know Nicole's shaking her head because she's like, yes, this is how life is supposed to be. Yes. A question that I asked myself a while back was, notice the lens that you're using in your relationships with your spouse, with your siblings, your parent, your colleagues. Is it a collaborative one, or is it that you need to be right or wrong? Is it open without being controlling, or is it that like you have to have the control over it? The second is power is created from within, which this was a brand new thing for me, this whole power within thing. And the power is created within by stillness, by quiet, by meditation, by prayer, by feeling the inspiration, by sitting with your emotions, by sensual movements, by having faith, or allowing yourself to be guided by, like, I believe in God, so I feel like I'm guided by God, or like my higher self. Other people believe in the universe. So something bigger than yourself. So being guided by something bigger than yourself. And I know for Nicole, I got to throw her under the bus. This week, Nicole did something freaking insane and amazing. She shut off her social media for an entire, how many days? A week? You're still off. She's not, it's not on her phone.
I'm not on like I was. No, not at all. I mean, I allotted time for my business to go on and like things and interact during business time for the growth of my business. But other than that, I'm off.
So, and the reason why I share this is because she was quiet. Like, she practiced stillness. She did some meditation since the last podcast we recorded. And then as a result of that, she came up with like the most brilliant thing for her business. The thing that feels like super aligned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a pretty amazing week.
And she leaves it on a Marco to me, like 20 Marcos. I don't know. There's a lot of Marcos.
There's like
and
8.
She's got, okay, there's a lot. And so she's got like all her ideas, and I'm like, holy shit, dude, this is it. This is the thing. Like, and I share that with you guys, Nicole's experience last week, because there's a power in silence that we all underestimate.
Yeah.
Especially.
And now whenever I do notice, like I went on social media this morning for business, and I almost got distracted. And I was like, no, like this is literally just a distraction from keeping me from my day. And I had so much more that I wanted to do this morning. And I did. I just said, nope, this was the allotted time that I had to be on there to post what I wanted to post and to do what I wanted to do. And, after we record, I'll post something about this, and then I'll be off for the rest of the day. And I can't wait.
Woo! All right. The next one, you guys, is about feminine, is about a state of being, not doing. And I know Nicole and I have both had this conversation that most people, we live in a state of action. Like, that's all our entire world, especially it's almost the holiday time when we're recording this right now. And it's all about like, how fast can I get my Christmas tree up? How fast can I get my decorate? I speak that, and I have a freaking Christmas tree in my back. How fast can I get the gifts done? We got to get this, we got to go here. It's like all this action instead of actually absorbing and sitting with like what this holiday even means to you. So I think the state of being, the state of like just being, is the highest form of feminine. When an example could be like when you meditate in the morning, you choose to connect to something bigger than yourself. You choose to connect to God. And I ask you this right now, like, if you meditated this morning, or remember the last time that you sat in quiet in the morning when you first started out, how did your day go? What did the day look like? Was it a lot better than when you woke up frantically, freaking out, checked social media 10 times, burned breakfast, like ran late with the kids? Like, what did your day look like when you chose to just be quiet for a minute, be still for a minute, be in the state of being? And then feminine is also about receiving and allowing ourselves to going in. It's tapping into our wisdom before we tap into anything else. We're encouraged also, like in this space, to like go through our emotions. And when we have an emotion of sadness, when we have an emotion of happiness, excitement, passion, whatever like that emotion is that we have, it's like revealing what that emotion is, and then taking that time to heal from that emotion. And then if the healing, you're not sure what that feels like, that's fine. We don't always have to have the answer. It's turning to yourself again. It's turning to that higher self, that higher wisdom, to God, to your universe, to whatever it is, like turning there during that emotion and allowing yourself to like process through it. I have 4 more, you guys. I have to share this. Okay. So the other part of being in our feminine is being present, finding grace, finding silence, going deep and listening. We keep saying the same thing, like deep listening, wisdom, quiet, like this time of just like stillness. That's how we know that we're in our feminine. And then one of the last ones I want to share with you is this form of like beauty. And I just did a class on gratitude, and we talked about like when we're able to see the beauty around us at a higher caliber, when we're able to see like the colors of the trees differently, when we're able to see like that we have a warm house, that we have a car that we get to drive, that the seat that we're sitting in right now feels just like yummy and beautiful, that the air around us feels warm and inviting, like that's when we know we're tapped into our feminine. When we're tapped into that space, we also are able to like feel a level of abundance that we've never felt before. We're able to bring in money and prosperity and all the things that we want into our life. And we're able to love ourselves at a level that we may not have known like possible when we're in that space. That's my rant.
Okay,
That's my feminine rant.
I want to add a little to it. Okay.
Add it, sister, add it.
It is also, so like you kind of mentioned it, like not using the same word, but like your intuition, tapping into you and using your intuition. It is having strong boundaries and like being in a place of being receptive. It's receptive energy. It is having boundaries. It is having an open heart and having emotional balance.
Yep.
That's also part of the feminine energy.
Yep.
It's kind of a hard one sometimes, the emotional balance, because, you know, I feel like the feminine comes across in what we've all been told is supposed to be passive, and that's not it. Receptive is one thing, but having emotional wellness, boundaries, and being able to speak your truth is very feminine. So that's all I wanted to add about the parts that are being in alignment with being in your feminine. I'm sure there's probably another list that's equally as long somewhere else.
But how do we know when we're out though, Nicole? Because we talked about this prior, like how do we know when we're like not at that feminine level or not practicing, like, or we're wounded? Like for me, it was a full on feminine, like I didn't even realize I had a feminine wound here. Like I didn't even know until what Nicole's going to talk about started coming up. And I'm like,
So that's, so like a top one is feeling really insecure, being jealous of other women, shaming, guilt, craving that external validation from others. That is a big red flag that you are out of alignment in your feminine. Being the martyr, that's not, you know, speak your truth, say what it is that you need. And many times we put ourselves in this martyrdom. No one asked us. So like, it's literally not asking your family to be helpful. And then when they don't do it on their own, well, I guess I'm going to have to do it. And I guess it's just going to be me. It's this whole, like, that's just not, no, like just speak your truth. Like, don't be passive aggressive. That's out of alignment with your feminine. Being the victim, being fearful. The feminine is unshakable. She's unshakable. And having that imbalance within you, the fear, the heavy emotions of guilt and shame, becoming codependent, easily attached. If you're falling in love the second you meet somebody and like, no, stop it. We're out of alignment there. We got some inner work to do. You're feeling triggered by other people significantly. That's some work that's a big red flag that you have work to do on your feminine, because the feminine she is strong in her own right. She is unshakable. She's like the warrior, the goddess, the wise woman, the maven, just all of the parts all together, all of the archetypes living together happily, harmoniously in one, that are all in alignment. So it is being secure. Sorry, I guess I'm going back to like how it is being. Jesus, I'm sorry. Okay. Let me get back to it. Self-sabotage. If you're self-sabotage is a huge red flag that you are out of alignment. Your life is chaos, out of alignment, out of your feminine alignment. If things in your life are like that, if you are someone who, this is so personal, overshares, that may be an indication that you are out of alignment. Nicole, yes. Got something to work on, really being stuck in your victimhood. I think I've said that. Manipulation. Oh yeah. Trying to get your way by being underhanded. You're out of alignment with your feminine. So really just focusing inner, coming through with some clarity of your mind, silencing yourself, and doing all of the things that Anna has already listed.
Yeah.
So, that's how you get back into alignment. And that's how you can, but really getting down to helping to address your feminine wounding that you have. And there are so many different ways you can do that. I know that for me, I had to work through almost going inward and allowing myself to forgive the parts of me that stifled myself, that didn't allow me to use my voice, that told me that what I had to say, nobody gave a shit to hear. When I allowed myself to be disrespected. And I say that, and there are times in my life when I invited disrespect because I just wanted to be liked. I just wanted, I laughed it off. I laughed off the disrespect and I didn't speak my truth and I wasn't true to myself. And I did things that were out of my own compass of things that I felt like were okay to do because I was not in my feminine. I was not in alignment with myself and I wasn't being true to myself. And so really kind of getting in contact with that inner part of me and healing her and asking for forgiveness is really what I did. And I didn't do that on my own. I did that through a program that I was in, and I have since done more work on it and created something similar. So, that's how I dealt with it. What about you?
Gosh, mine's still uncovering right now, or still still happening. I think it's going to be a lifelong journey for me.
Yeah. I'm not done. I'm not done. Don't let me
Yeah.
fool you, but the big stuff I addressed.
I think because I was so, I tend to want to be so driven, so ambitious, so goal oriented, so in control. Everything has to be my way, kind of a person. I'm making myself sound horrible, but it's not. It's just that addressing that those are that's the direction that I want to go. So for me, it was things slowing down, understanding my true value and my true worth, that it doesn't come from producing something. It doesn't come from people pleasing. It doesn't come from the parties that I put on or the PTA president or the this, that, and the other. It doesn't come from that. It comes from my inner self, my soul. So for me, it was a lot more time just sitting with myself, which felt like taking myself on dates, learning more about what I really enjoy rather than what the world or what my husband enjoy or my kids enjoy. Or I've realized some very powerful things about myself, that I've spent a good majority of my life doing things for other people. Right. And I always thought, I do this for other people. I'm a nonprofit board member. I'm this, I'm that, all these titles, right? Because it makes me feel good. But really, it's just making my ego feel good. It's not making my soul feel good. At the end of my life, when I'm sitting there with God and he's like, okay, did you do what I put you here to do? And I'm like, yeah, I accomplished all this stuff. Yeah, I did it. He's like, no, dude, that's not why I put you here. I put you here to connect with yourself. I put you here to become and love at the highest level. And and have you done that? And when I asked myself that question, it was it's making me nervous. I'm twitching my stuff right now and sweating talking about this. It was this answer of uh-oh, I haven't really, no, I haven't. And so for me, it's I mentioned this as a funny joke, but taking a bath on a Tuesday morning after I drop my kids off, not because I'm living in luxury or anything like that, but it's I'm feeling totally out of whack right now. And so I need to reconnect with myself. So it's actually throughout the day asking myself, am I really connected with her, or am I just doing and living life in the motions? One of the things that has also changed is that when someone asks me to do something, I've said no a lot. And I don't say no to hurt someone's feelings or to like not be involved or to not be social. I say no at first, or I say, let me just sit with that, because I really want to connect with myself and ask her like, hey, is this for me, or is this like my ego talking that needs this like specific thing, or is this like something for God? Like, where is this playing out? And I know for myself also in my own relationship, gosh, my relationship's gotten 10 times better because I have like given up control on certain things that like my husband like enjoys doing, right? Or like his energy, like our relationship has like taken this really cool turn, not only like how we act with each other, but like even sexually, like how we like enjoy pleasure, like all of that stuff has totally changed when I have gotten to know myself better, when I have decided to like embrace this part of myself that feels really strong. This is another example last week that I worked through. I had to do, I got to do a presentation or like a speech or whatever. And usually in my mind, I had to have it perfectly planned out, memorized, rehearsed, like it had to be super unauthentic in my own words, right? And I got up there and I freaking fumbled. I have never been so nervous in my life. I like felt like I'm like, what am I doing? Like, this is just ridiculous. And yet every single person came up to me afterward and was like, thank you. That was so awesome. Like, I admitted my humanness. I'm like, thank God I'm human, because I'm nervous as all hell right now. Like, so I think there's this vulnerability when we tap into this space that is so relatable to people. And I think in my past, I would have seen that as like an epic fail because it didn't look perfectly polished. Whereas last week when I left and thought, wow, I really connected with people. Wow, I really just like showed up in the energy that God wanted me to show up in that time, because that's what needed to happen. And sometimes we think that we have to be perfect in order for like something to come across a certain way. But what I'm learning throughout this entire process of, tapping in even more to myself is that the imperfection is the most attractive thing as humans. Like the things that we think are totally stupid or dumb or like make us look like a fool are the things that people love the most about us.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what my journeys look like. What Nicole, like, let's give them some examples of like ways though, besides our personal experience, like what are some things like for me, it's like nature. I like to go outside. I like to walk. I like to take my shoes off in the morning, like freezing ass cold, go walk in my grass, like clip some plant. I don't know, whatever I do out there. I look like a crazy person in my bathrobe, but for me, that feels really good. Or like reading by a tree instead of reading inside in the house, like stuff like that, like really connects us with like nature and our environment. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what do you like? What else?
So for me, it's not like, I want to kind of go back to something you had mentioned whenever you were talking about your original journey with this, that, you were this feminine on the outer and masculine inner. And I just want to say, like, for those of you listening and thinking, okay, so I need to take baths and go get mani-pedis and like
No.
up and get the jewelry and like make myself look like a dress. It's not that. It is not the exterior. It's not the exterior. It is like the way you carry you and the way that you interact with you and the way you feel about you. And so for me, sometimes it's mirror work. That helps. Really just telling myself, like, I love you. I love you just as you are. And you're perfect how you are, and you're lovable. And, I get to be all of the things that I really want to be. And I get to tell myself that. That's one of the ways that I think that you can really tap in with your feminine and get in touch with her if you're not already. So mirror work, meditation, you can do breath work.
I also like, okay, so go back to the bath thing. Cause like I had this misconception that the bath was like like this luxury experience. Right. But when I started thinking about like, we were created in water. like in our mom's stomach, like our womb, like we're swirling around in water. We spent like 9 months in that water, right? Like that liquid. And then we also have like, there's like this healing property when think of like the last time you swam the ocean or in a lake, or like you swam in a swimming pool, by yourself in the morning or whatever it was, right? When you take a bath, like it's this, I mean, practically our entire planet is water. Like there's something to do with water.
Water. Like
our bodies are water.
Filled
like,
with water.
Yeah. Forget about our body. Yeah. Like water just has this healing property. So when I take a bath, it means like I'm choosing to do that with a beautiful aroma and like candles lit and like this whole experience, because like I need it. Like my soul needs it in order to like function in the world.
Yeah.
Right.
Buy myself flowers. That's a nature, and it's a beauty, and it's a luxury, but it's also like, it makes me feel good, and it makes me feel a little more tapped into that goddess version of myself, that I associate with femininity. I associate all of the feminine archetypes with feminine energy.
You know what I associate too for myself with feminine energy is like what you said earlier about the boundaries. So like when someone asked me to do something, I mentioned this earlier, when someone asked me to do something, instead of just saying yes immediately, like, or when a project is coming up, or even when the master classes or the, our work that we're doing, like any decision that we're making, I connect with myself first before I say, yeah, I'm going to do this. Yeah, I'm going to create this type of a product. Yeah, I'm going to move my business in this direction. Like instead of just flying and going and doing like off the seat of my pants, like I usually do, I stop for a minute and I think like, okay, is this something I need to connect with my higher self first? But I also need to understand like my boundary, right? Like my boundary is my family. My boundary is like my time. And if this is like crouching in on that, then I have to really consider. So for me, feminine energy looks like having that boundary, and being okay that it doesn't have to be like black, white. It's like this other area.
Yeah. Something else that, I don't know, I just kind of came to mind. Is it like femininity? So it's kind of hard because I do associate femininity with women. I do. It's hard because, I want to just say that like we're really powerful, and that feminine energy is very powerful. And like, I don't know, I guess I just feel like there's a divine property with women that there may not be with men, but men can still have that feminine energy.
Yeah.
And they should, to be well-rounded human beings. And I'm sorry, whenever I say women and men, I don't mean to offend anyone. We're speaking biologically, men and women, but then we're speaking of the energy, which is masculine and feminine, which we all have. So I lost my
what's
really
okay
about how like every person in the world has been birthed by a woman. Like women have populated the world.
Yes.
Like we're not these weak beings. We are not this femininity, when you associate it with your womanhood, it's not a weakness, it's a strength. And I think that that's something to be cherished, even if you are somebody who has not been able to do that. That's okay. That energy and that power and that beauty is still within you.
Yep. I totally agree. I love that we're going into this direction, because for myself and my own work that I'm doing and that I have done, is it went back to that space of like really cherishing and like worshiping like what women have the capability of doing when it comes to like birthing a child, and when it comes to like how we were created. And then I started looking at my own mom, and then I started looking at like my own grandma, my great grandma, and I started thinking like, wow, those are really powerful women, and I'm a descendant of that. And I think there wasn't ever a time in my life where I really just sat with that, of like the women that were before me and the women that are about to come with my daughters, right? And so it's taken on an energy of it and like a life of its own when I have when I have sat with that. And I feel so much more aligned in my own power when as I've gotten to know like my feminine self. Like I would have never said this before. I would have never said that like the feminine energy in my mind right now is like so powerful. Like I've thought for decades, for 39 years of my life, that it was like weak and pathetic. And there's no way. The girls that cried all the time were pathetic. The girls that felt all this stuff, like, and now I'm like, I've become that person. I freaking cry at every damn thing. Like my kids are like, why are you being so emotional? Like the emotions in our house are high right now. My kids are going through preteen hormone stuff. So I'm like, it's like wild what I'm experiencing. So I'm going through my own inner stuff. And then they're also entering into puberty. So it's like this, it's crazy pants in our house.
You know, you're touching on something that I think is super important to also leave everybody with, is that right now, you know, we are both masculine and feminine energy doing this beautiful dance. And sometimes one leads more than the other. And when you are raising humans, the younger you start with allowing them to feel their feminine side, and they're like, it's okay to be a doer. And it's so, you know, for the masculine, that's okay. They can do that. But it is so important for emotional intelligence
and mental health.
And that, yes, for your mental health, to feel validated in your feelings. Like, let's stop, you know, since all of these weaker feelings are associated with femininity, and women, you know, it's okay to let your boy cry. It's completely okay to let him have emotions. You would never tell your children to stop being happy. Knock it off. Stop being happy. Why are you happy? Why would you tell them, knock it off, stop crying? What are you crying for? Because they have big emotions, and being invalidated because it makes you uncomfortable because you are not in alignment with your own femininity. That's what that trigger is. Like, that's what you should be aware from now on. When you see that and you feel like that response, that should be a huge indication that you are out of alignment with your emotional, energetic intelligence. Male or female, man or woman, however you identify, them, they, or other, encompassing everyone in this conversation, you are out of alignment with those things if you are triggered by the emotions of other people.
I love that.
So get your shit together.
Yeah, let's go. Chop, chop.
Yeah, like, let's raise a different, like, group of human beings that can have emotions, that can feel validated, and that can say, hey, this bothers me whenever this happens. I literally had a conversation the other day with my daughter. Her older brother threw a ball at her, and she was upset about it. And I said, well, did you say something to him? She goes, no. And I said, you have every right to tell him, I don't appreciate that. Don't throw things at me again. That's not how you're going to interact with me. She's 6. And I'm like, you tell him it's okay. You get to use your voice. You don't need him to validate how you feel. And I've said the same thing. I had a conversation yesterday with my husband. I'm tired of having to explain myself. I don't need anybody to validate how I'm feeling, what I'm saying, what I'm talking about. And that was a whole conversation in itself. But it was, all of this comes from me coming in alignment with my feminine energy and saying, I don't need to be weak to be feminine. Like, that's not what this is. It's me saying my freaking truth, whether it upsets other people or not. That is something for them to then work through. But part of me living truly in my feminine energy and being aligned with that and healing those old wounds is me saying what I need to say to be true to me. Like, gone are the days of me stifling her and telling her, no, be quiet, you're going to upset somebody. Or, no, you don't get to say that. You don't get to behave that way. We don't get angry. We don't get, no, I can get angry. I can be upset. I can say, this is not okay. I'm not going to tolerate this in my life. I could walk away from that conversation. There's so many things that I can do to be true to her. And I think that seeing her as a whole person, like that version, that feminine, I think that's very important, because then you can get a whole picture of, it's literally like putting a muzzle on a woman or on this person. It's like putting a muzzle on this part of you, and sit down, be silent, don't, be seen and not heard, and just stay out of the way. let the grown-ups handle this. That's really how it feels whenever we stifle that feminine energy. I don't know. That's how it feels for me. So
I feel the same way, Nicole. I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I think you guys, if you're listening to this conversation and this feels foreign to you, it's okay. It was foreign to us also. If you're listening to this conversation and it's triggered something in you and you've gotten angry or frustrated with what we said or annoyed with what we've said, it's okay. And you're okay. If we've been talking and you're connecting with us and you're like, yes, dude, oh my gosh, no wonder, that's why, that's also okay. So we know that by having this conversation today, it's going to bring up all different things for all different people. And we welcome it. We welcome the conversation to continue, because this is like what we love. We love sharing the things and our own journey that we're on right now, and our evolution as we go, right?
Yeah. Growth and evolution forever. Yeah.
Forever.
Yes.
You guys, we are going to finish up today. If you're not following us on Instagram, then you should. It's come sit with us _podcast. We have some great content from our past podcasts, and our future ones to come. We also will be starting in the new year, having more conversation on there too with you guys. So we can't wait. We're on YouTube also. So if you want to see our bright, shiny, beautiful little faces on YouTube and my beautiful Christmas tree, one of them, then follow us at Come Sit With Us podcast on YouTube.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Hey, good game.
Good. Yeah. Hey, strong work. Strong work. Okay. Okay.
Bye, you guys.